Please?
reference? What?
Please, Sim, have some more. No. Oh, I guess we're just going to go live. We're going to go live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the NFL Live Before Lock show presented by PrizePicks. It is Eric Lindquist. It is I, myself. I have a voice again, just magically. Look at that. It's a little rest, a little hot tea. It'll all take care of it for you here. But we're talking a little Monday Night Football. And God, am I lucky. Back-to-back days with the law firm of Gajewski and Savoca, the Matt and Matt crew. I'm so excited to have both of them back here. I'm going to be able to actually communicate with them here today. Smash that like button as you guys are getting in here for my guys. Let's start with Matt Gajewski at Matt_Gajewski on Twitter. How you doing, my dude?
I'm doing really good, man. I'm excited for this game. It was one of my favorite ones at the beginning of the week. Pretty good total here. Two competitive teams, tight spread. So I think we're in for some good football.
All right. And I'm trying to update NBA lineups. This is just what a lovely day today is. It is just madness. Morning slate was all right, though. So we keep it going here for NBA. And now it's NFL time with my buddy at Draftaholic, Matt Savoca. How you doing, my buddy?
I'm doing well. Happy to run it back after the Sunday Live Before Lock. Miss you, Neil Orfield, wherever you are out there. But it's great to have you here, Matt. And this is a really exciting game. The rubber match, a divisional matchup. These two teams combined for 52 or more points in both of their matchups. So I think this 49 and a half point total is kind of low here. I think there should be some scoring. I'm excited to dig into this one.
Well, that's interesting because it's dropped a point to 48.5 in a number of spots. So again, I don't know all of the parts of it. That's your guys' job. You get to analyze every in and out of this. I am trying to figure out this slate as we go. As we get going, we were talking a little bit pre-show, and I'll start with this. Matt Gajewski, is this the most difficult showdown slate you've ever tried to put the puzzle together for?
I think it might be this year, especially for like low risk cash games. I registered these well in advance. And I'm wishing I kind of hadn't, because you have to make some really difficult decisions in cash tonight. And, rarely do I see when I run our optimals, like getting 3 or 4 different players in the top 10 lineups, just with different captain spots. So it kind of tells you how tight salary is today. And I think some of these small little decisions you make are going to be massively impactful on the results tonight. So I'm still not even sure who I'm running at captain in cash.
Yeah, and I guess that's one way to look at it, is that for cash games, difficult to put together. But Matt Savoca, for tournaments, that makes this really, really appealing.
Yes, it does. And I think one of the things that makes this so difficult is the fact that you want to go with guaranteed volume. If you're going to pay up in salary for someone other than a quarterback, you want to go for guaranteed volume, right? But the only real guaranteed volume we have is Cooper Kupp, and you have to pay such a high premium that it restricts what you have to do with the rest of your lineup. So that's the big first strategic point everyone has. What do we do with Cooper Kupp? And then from here, I think the most exciting part is these backfields, these two backfields that are going to look different than they really have all season. And I think you can take some shots there before necessarily leaning on some of these auxiliary weapons, because both teams lean on their primary passing weapons a lot.
Yeah, and for me, I think the most intriguing part is going to be the Arizona passing game. What the hell do we do? I'm very excited to get your guys' opinions on that. That's going to help craft my lineups as we go. But we go position by position on this show. 55 minutes. Let's ride to the quarterback position. We've got two guys here. They're pretty good. Matthew Stafford, less so here the last couple of weeks. Same thing with Kyler Murray. Both have kind of been in a funk for what we expected early on from both of them. They came out of the gate hot. But starting with the road quarterback, Kyler Murray here, definitely adds a lot on the ground, makes an intriguing captain choice, I think, in a lot of ways where, you can stack him you can play him by himself. You can play him with multiple pieces from the passing attack. Matt Savoca, how are you looking to handle Kyler Murray on this slate?
So one thing that I noticed is that if you separate our leverage score between captain play and utility play or flex play, whatever you want to call it here, Kyler Murray has a massive positive leverage score on DraftKings as a flex play. So that is the main way I'm getting to Kyler Murray tonight, especially on DraftKings. I'll play him in the flex because there are so many outs here, right? There are ways he can hit as a passer. We definitely have 300 yards passing in the range of outcomes. You guys, they signed Eric Weddle off the street, and they said he could play between 10 and 30 snaps at safety. When you're signing people who haven't played for 2 seasons and they're going to play significant time over the middle of an NFL, on an NFL defense, that sounds pretty bad. to me. So I do think Kyler Murray makes a whole lot of sense. And like you said, he can hit with his legs in a way that Matthew Stafford simply can't. In a vacuum, I think Kyler Murray is the better quarterback here, but I don't really care that much as long as I make sure that I'm getting to one quarterback. I have about 10% captain ownership for Kyler Murray right now.
All right. And going to you, Matt Gajewski, same question. Kyler Murray, definitely an intriguing guy. Looks like in a number of ways. First of all, you have pass catchers in Antoine Wesley and AJ Green that have positive leverage to be getting to over on DK. Therefore, you add the quarterback to the mix. Maybe you just have a little bit more to get to, but negatively leveraged himself, negative 5.7 over on FanDuel, where obviously quarterbacks really matter. What are you planning to do with Kyler Murray around the industry tonight?
Yeah, I like Kyler Murray a lot. And for most of the reasons Savoca mentioned, but the main one I'll highlight is he can get there in so many different ways. And since the midseason injury, we have seen Kyler return to a little more rushing, which I think is positive for him here in this spot. More design runs, more scrambles. You don't necessarily need to rely on the pass catchers with Kyler. He can do that with his legs. Whereas Stafford, if you want to just run the parallel here, it looks like he's coming in a little over-owned in the utility spot opposite Kyler. And I think a lot of the reason for that is if you have Stafford scoring a lot of points, it's coming strictly through the air. And we know that PPR volume and then just raw touchdown production from a receiver counts for more raw points than it does Matthew Stafford throwing the ball. So there's just a larger chance that Cooper Kupp outscores him, or in a contrarian sort of game environment, maybe Odell Beckham, Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson, because Stafford doesn't give you that rushing equity. So I do have a slight preference to Kyler playing both of these guys in certain lineups, but right now Kyler is the player who I'm going to be slightly more overweight on tonight at quarterback.
All right. And, at the same time, Matthew Stafford, I did a show for Yahoo a little bit earlier here. Again, I'm okay saying them. People are playing a lot over on that side as well here. They really don't have any kind of competition here with our friends PrizePicks, the sponsor here of this show, but he's the fourth highest salary there. He's below James Conner. He's below Kyler Murray. He's below Cooper Kupp, which I think makes him an intriguing superstar spot up there. So just somebody that I think if you're going to be pairing him, you're going to pair him with Kupp. You probably need to pair him with another guy if he's going to hit that massive ceiling. So I feel at least secure with the paths that I'm going to be putting Matt Stafford in the captain spot, where I can't really say the same thing about Kyler Murray. Do you agree with me on that?
I do agree with you.
Yeah, Matt Savoca. Go ahead, Matt Savoca.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you wholeheartedly there.
Okay, it just feels like a clear path. Matt Gajewski, anything to add?
No, I was going to say I agree as well.
Okay, cool. Yay. Matthew Stafford, though, we still want to roster quarterbacks here on an individual slate here. Matt Savoca, are you going to be above or below the field on him on DraftKings?
I'll be honest. I'm using the field as my guide here with Matthew Stafford. I don't feel strongly about Matthew Stafford as I do about Kyler Murray. Certainly ways that he can get there. And I think that, reports of how much he's struggled are a little bit overdone right now. It's certainly alarming to see multiple interceptions in 3 straight games. And he's thrown an interception at least one time in 4 straight games. That's pretty bad. And in terms of danger plays graded by playerprofiler.com, he threw the 5th most danger throws in the NFL this season. But still, the advanced metrics still like what Matthew Stafford put together this year. 3rd in adjusted yards per attempt, 4th in total QBR, 3rd in expected points added. And remember, it's not like this team was losing games left and right here as Matthew Stafford struggled turning the ball over. Yes, they lost the last week of the season, but they put together a huge amount of wins before that as well. So Matthew Stafford is a player I'm going to be with the field on, and certainly in lineups that have Cooper Kupp in them or 2 of the other receivers, I'm boosting up my projection for Stafford and probably getting to more of them there.
Are you looking at doing kind of the same thing, Matt Gajewski? Or are you going to be over or under on him?
I plan on being around the field on Stafford. Yeah, so I don't like captaining him as much. Again, just with PPR volume, the way touchdowns are scored on DraftKings specifically, there's just a larger chance that one of the pass catchers outscores him. But I think in the utility, he's still fine, even with our tools saying he's a little overowned. If you play a lot of lineups, you're just naturally going to end up with some Stafford and just plan in your stacks accordingly. But there are definitely paths to him failing. The defense on the other side, there's a major mismatch between the offensive and defensive line here. JJ Watt's returning, and we saw this line just get absolutely ravaged towards the end of the season. I mean, their left tackle is a 40-year-old man. Now he has to go up against JJ Watt, Zach Allen, and Chandler Jones. a recipe for disaster. So I hope Stafford's getting the ball out of his hands fast, because that is going to be an issue if he's dropping back with these 7-step drops and things like that.
Yeah, I find it very intriguing. PFF's got the Rams #1 ranked power ranked defense, and then the Cardinals 16th, but definitely a different look. Just having Jones there and of course getting Watt back, whatever he can provide to them. There are definitely some paths to them causing some issues for Matthew Stafford, who, as Nate Rojas pointed out there in the chat, 7 interceptions his last 2. Not looking like the sharpest tool in the shed here at the moment. So
some of those are like a little misleading. Like the bomb in overtime, they were like, what is he going to do?
Yeah, you're trying. But again, that makes 6 interceptions.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that one. Like, you get what I'm saying, Eric. Yeah.
I know. I was being sassy. I'm sorry. That's just what I do here.
That is kind of your vibe.
Adding a little flavor to the shows. You know, what can I do? Just here to cause corruption. I'm Maury, if you will. Maury Lindquist over here. Matt Savoca, anything else you want to talk about with these 2 quarterbacks?
No, absolutely play 1 quarterback per roster. I think playing 0 quarterbacks is way too contrarian here. Even in, I will say this, in a slate like this with Cooper Kupp, where Cooper Kupp's projection, median and ceiling is almost like a 3rd quarterback. Maybe it's viable more so this time, but still, you're talking about super low probability, large field only if you're going to say 0 quarterback. So even if we're saying Matthew Stafford is worse than Kyler Murray, based on salary-based expectations, he's just fine.
All right. Anything for you, Matt Gajewski, whatsoever?
I don't think so. I think we broke it down pretty well.
Oh, well, look at that. Then we got to talk. Loco, I'll get to that one here in a second. 11 months, prize picks. We definitely want to be covering them. And I think Matt Stafford, the passing prop, that's definitely an interesting one. But what I want you guys to do right now, if you do not have Awesemo Plus, if you want to have the opportunity to see everything we offer for the NFL Express weekly promotion, use promo code SUPERWILD, which will be good through the end of tonight. So you got to utilize it for this game. Super wild. All it costs is $1. $1 gives you all of the Showdown single game contest tools that we're going to be referring to throughout the show. But if you're building there at home, you have 45 minutes, use this promotion, get behind the paywall now, see everything for yourself, be able to work with those ownership projections, be able to, if you have your optimizer that you're working with, we prefer Fantasy Cruncher over here in these parts, but you know, it needs to be something that you're using hands-on constantly as we're referring to it, because finding leverage, finding paths on a slate that's as wide open as this, that has so many paths to success or failure, you got to have the ability to find leverage. And the boom bust tool itself, having the top Showdown single game plays tool, talking about the leverage, the utility optimal, the captain optimal, that is the kind of stuff that can help you win a big tournament tonight. So get behind the paywall, just $1. So stop guessing, start winning. Use Super Wild, the promo here tonight. All right, guys, let's go back to Loco here. Y'all trust Stafford over passing prop here for tonight. I believe you put the line in there a second ago. Eric is very P. I don't know what that means, but hello, Nick, my little buddy over there. 225.5 is the passing prop. Matt Savoca.
For Stafford?
For Stafford, yes.
Oh, absolutely. We have a 65% over rate for 272.
Okay. Matt Gajewski.
On the player props tool, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just be smashing that, right?
Absolutely.
I think he projects for over 300 yards for us.
Yeah, I was going to say that's just an irrational number if you find that, because I'm looking at OddsShopper. 270.5 is the number that I see over there. OddsShopper, the best way to cross-reference, to be able to find anything that you need in the moment. Looking at Rondale Moore, Chase Edmonds, we'll get into that one. God, I'm just beyond terrified of what's going to happen here tonight. But looking forward to taking some stands here with everybody else. And one way that you can play some DFS and also get some exposure to the prop market is making intelligent decisions with the projections made by Alex Baker, Steve Buzzard, some of the smartest dudes in the game here over at OddsShopper. So check that out as we play along here at home. 270.5 though. If it's going to be that low, Loco, 225.5, just smash the over a million times and twice on Monday. Because again, Monday night here. Let's jump to the running back position and let's have some fun here. We've got James Conner, Matt Savoca. We've got Chase Edmonds. Pick one tonight.
Oh, okay, guys. So overall, I think the answer is probably they split this 50-50 and whoever falls in the end zone more wins. That's not fun for an analyst to say here. No, so the way I'm really playing this is the lower salary wins. So for me, that's That's Chase Edmonds, and
Mhm.
I don't feel great about it. I'm really taking shots on these running backs, though. I'm actually over the field on both players right now. I know that there are some wide receivers and tight ends that look really appealing, but I feel like there is a ton of uncertainty, and there's a possibility, really, in both of these backfields, that someone just emerges, gets all the touches here. I think Chase Edmonds, just with his receiving upside, just has a little more upside. But Connor has been the more efficient back, and certainly the one being used in the red zone more often. One thing I do have to say, though, is we only really have a 1-game sample size of both of these players healthy in the time period where DeAndre Hopkins was already ruled out for the season for the Cardinals. And in that game, Chase Edmonds had more red zone touches than James Conner, and James Conner had more targets than Chase Edmonds. So there is some volatility there. That was a weird game script they were playing and losing by a bunch to Detroit. But if there's so much volatility and uncertainty there, I'll just go with the lower salary and try to be over the field on it.
Mm-hmm. Loco, 274.5. Still take the over on that. Sorry, I can't always keep up to everything here on the chat, especially hanging out with my guys here. So 274.5. I'm definitely not P. What is P? I don't know what that means. But what? Jordan Klein, producer Cam, jump in. You got to jump in. You have to. The people demand it. Smash the like button, man. Smash the like button. If you hit that thing, we got to get producer Cam up here again. I saw it. I know that it's a thing. I saw it on the deeper dive for like 5.5 seconds. It was beautiful. Everybody wants to see your mug. It is what it is. I'm sending it over to you, though, Matt Gajewski, as we're going here. Twisted Reality Gaming. He brought up threw for over 200 against the Cardinals last time. I trust he goes over 250 with these. I trust he goes over 270 as well. So there's that. How do you feel about Connor in the flex tonight, Matt Gajewski, compared to captaining him?
I think Connor is fine in the flex. The reason I don't have as much Connor comes down strictly to price. And if you want to play Kupp, Stafford, all these studs, you have to make some salary-based concessions. And Connor, I think, is a player that just inherently has a lot of risk coming off the injury. Chase Edmonds practiced multiple times this week. Connor logged the limited practice to close the week, which of course is positive, but he appears to be less than 100%. And we've kind of seen this backfield ebb and flow with injuries throughout the year. We kind of forget that Connor really emerged with Chase Edmonds getting injured. And then we have to go back essentially to weeks like 1 through 5 to find a true sample of these guys fully healthy. Every game they played together since then, one of them is coming back from an injury. It's really tough to decipher what this backfield will look like, even with James Conner returning. I'm tentatively leaning towards this being a slight preference towards Edmonds, and especially with his pass catching work. If the Arizona Cardinals are down in this game, I think he's a guy that could just be a slightly better value-based projection. But if you're playing large field tournaments, I think Connor probably comes in lower owned between the two.
Chase Edmonds, yeah, it's definitely going to be more of a price thing. I think site to site, it's going to be a little bit different as well. FanDuel touchdowns matter a lot. I think you could probably be more inclined to get some James Conner, who has shown throughout the entire season over an entire sample size when he's been on the field. He is your goal line back. But Chase Edmonds, I think, plays more in the 20s. I think there's an opportunity for him to be more of the featured guy, just in the event that there's any kind of limitations coming off of yesterday. I think this is one where I just got to be taking more of the Chase Edmonds side. I'll take more of the health and more of the, I don't want to call it security, but I have a lot more of him than what I'm comfortable with at 5K over on DK. I think that's going to be one of the larger stands that I take here. But going to the Rams side, there's a large stance that somebody on our panel is taking tonight, and I'll just let him tell you what it is, because Matt Savoca, you are a crazy person.
Yeah, I might be a crazy person, and sometimes you got to be strong and wrong, right, in these games. And I hope I'm not wrong, right. But I think that Cam Akers might be the healthiest and most explosive player in the Los Angeles backfield. And I was really encouraged that on the 7 routes that he ran total in Week 18, that he saw 3 targets on those routes. Now that targets per route run, that's an unsustainable rate, but still he caught all 3 targets, got 5 rushes, played 20% of the snaps, showed me enough that if they really believe he is at full strength, he might just be better straight up than Sony Michel. So talk about the things that you can do if you play a player like Cam Akers on DraftKings or FanDuel. And you know, at the captain spot, his leverage score is basically 0. So that is the part where the projections don't even look bad for him compared to salary-based expectations. And maybe, just maybe, the ceiling is a lot higher than people expect. I was looking in Fantasy Cruncher. The ceiling is about 20 fantasy points on DraftKings. The floor right now is 0. That's the kind of take I want to be over the field on. So I am taking a stand here and playing a lot more Cam Akers than the field and less on Sony Michel.
Do we just shut down the show now? That blew up chat there for a quick second. I knew it would. I thought it was a beautiful take, but I mean, you got to find points of leverage. Matt Gajewski, I don't know if I can be slamming a ton of Cam Akers here in this spot. I still think Sony Michel is probably the featured back. I think there's a lot of pass catchers on a PPR side like DK that I think I want to probably get to a little bit more, especially, I think he might be just a captain or bust kind of thing where he allows you to get in a lot of guys. But Matt Gajewski, how do you feel about, we started with him, Cam Akers here on this slate?
Yeah, the thing is, he doesn't really allow you to get that many guys. He's priced in that mid tier, which is not really sacrificing enough to get an extra stud. And then you have Cam Akers in your captain, who's a guy who brings a lot of risk. The one thing I'll say about Cam Akers, you don't really have to take a large stand with him to be overweight on the field. He's essentially coming with no captain ownership, very slight ownership, even in the utility. And I think a lot of that is just salary based. I mean, he's in the same price range as like Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz, AJ Green, who all have more consistent roles, or at least bankable roles. Like Savoca said, there is a 20-point ceiling with Cam Akers, maybe more if he scores a couple times. It's just the floor is 0. And that's what's driving the ownership down to such a low point here, where even if you do roster 20% of him in your lineups, if you're running 150 or something like that, you're going to be way over the field on Cam Akers. And I think that makes sense.
I mean, here's the thing. Just like yesterday, if you knew like Jerick McKinnon, like the workload, there's just so many paths that it can definitely take here. So I don't mind taking that as the shot. I think I'm probably taking more shots because of the leverage that exists in the top show, single game plays. Looking at all of these Arizona wide receivers, I'm finding more of my mid-tier guys out of that pool. Just some positive leverage to be had there, but I totally understand it. And I'm probably going to up and have a little bit more Cam Akers. This is probably one of the first times I've ever just not had anything built because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Wanted to talk it through with some smart humans. I think that's what chat does all the time. So I'm just like I'm in YouTube chat here right now with my guys, and 150% Akers. That's probably too much because then you cheated.
It's a whole
throwing
lot.
it out there.
Your wife has that much Akers too? Sorry.
Whoa. I don't know. There's something to be said there. I'm probably going to just bypass that one entirely. Anything else for you guys from the running back position from this side?
I mean, on the opposite side of the Akers, if he's at that 0-point floor, Sony could be a great play himself.
That's kind of what I was thinking is like Sony's, I mean, this is like a finding the low owned guy who can pop here. Sony Michel is still going to garner the attention that a guy who you would assume is going to be the feature back deserves. 21 carries last time out, even with Akers active. I mean, they didn't really do anything against San Francisco's defense. Maybe San Francisco's defense is just pretty good. How about that? Matt Gajewski.
I mean, they do have a great defense, and I think with Sony Michel, volume will be there. I think it's more secure than Akers. Like, we have to remember, he's only one extra week behind that Achilles tear. So like, how much would his role possibly change in 1 week? Last week against San Francisco, they blew a 17-point lead, but that game was competitive throughout most of the contest. So I believe Cam Akers played 13 snaps. What do we think that goes to this week in a spot in week 18 where they already had to play an extremely competitive game? I'm not 100% sure we see Cam Akers even in like a 50% snap share role here. But I do think when he's on the field, he's used. So that's the thing you have to balance.
Okay. That's totally fair. Anything else for you, Matt Savoca, here as we move on?
Yeah, I mean, look, Sony Michel, in terms of all running backs, on FanDuel, he has the highest value ranking of any running back. It's the same thing on DraftKings. So in terms of our projections and looking just at the running back position, Sony Michel looks like the best play that the math tells us to do. I'm just trying to take a stand in a large field tournament and see if I can get there. I'm happy I have some people, including Neil Orfield, telling me that the take isn't dumb in chat. That makes me feel better. But Matt is absolutely right when we're talking about most likely outcomes here. Obviously, when you try to build lineups, you sometimes build for the less likely outcomes, and when those hit, usually move ahead of a lot of the field.
I was going to say, I don't know if there's any show that nothing could ever replace the two of you, but there's nothing better than when I have a take that Neil Orfield disagrees and he still pays me a compliment. That's how you know he's from Minnesota. He's like, well, yeah, I could see why you came to that conclusion, but I'm going to do the complete opposite thing. It's kind of nice to have Cam Akers, sample of approval from the Millie Maker winner. Good on you, Matt Savoca. Good on you, my guy. Let's talk some prize picks here because, again, prize picks is the reason we're here, the sponsor of the Live Before Lock show. We appreciate them. I think you'll appreciate the deals that we're running with them here as well. 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit with them. You'll get the email. You're going to get it sent to you. You're going to redeem your free month. Yay. Easy as that. All you do is you head over there, use promo code Awesemo for up to $100 first match deposit bonus as well. You don't have sharks, optimizers, none of that garbage. You basically are just playing props. So it's 2, 3, 4, and 5 player cards, or if you want to call it a parlay, whatever you want to call it. You have the ability to go do that. You can do it on your phone with the App Store, Google Play, or prizepicks.com, which is where I'm at right now. Super clean, super efficient, super easy to go play there. I know Jordan Klein and myself behind the virtual glass love talking a little prize picks in our spare time because it's really fun to do. And there are definitely some profitable lines to be looking at there. I'm going to go over to you, Matt Savoca, right off the bat here. What is your favorite prize picks play for today?
This one's easy for me. Over 23.5 rushing yards for Cam Akers.
God, he's backing it up. Keep going. Anything else, Dad, other than everything you talked about Cam Akers earlier?
Yeah, I think he's going to have about 4 yards per carry and get enough carries to get over 23.5 easily.
There we go. Matt Gajewski, your favorite play on prize picks for today.
Yeah, to Savoca's point, if he sees even the same volume he did in the last game, he could just backdoor his way over that. I have a few concerns, and I think there's more secure props you can take. So honestly, my favorite one was Christian Kirk over 48.5. Our tools love essentially all of the Arizona pass catchers. And I think if you're talking about who potentially could avoid Jalen Ramsey, who's historically been a boundary corner, I think it's Christian Kirk. He's a guy that typically operates in the slot. You do have somebody in like an AJ Green who the Rams might prioritize taking away, I think more so than Antoine Wesley, but who benefits from that? It's Christian Kirk. And Savoca actually brought up a great point before the show. I think you can play the same logic with Zach Ertz. And you said this, Eric. What happens if Christian Kirk like burns LA for a big play or something? Do they just move Jalen Ramsey onto him because all the marbles are on the line here? Savoca brought this up. One player that is not likely to be covered by Jalen Ramsey at any point is tight end Zach Ertz. So I think you could also go his receiving yards. They're both very low, below 50 yards.
Yeah, I love all of those plays. Again, we were talking before the show. I'm excited to talk some wide receivers. We want to spend the most time, I think, there, just because this sets up as a game. 2 offenses that should be chucking it around the yard a little bit to a certain extent. Obviously, Sony Michel, large workload. James Conner, when healthy, a gigantic amount of workload here as well. For me, the best play, period, prize picks, over 0.5 receiving touchdowns for Cooper Kupp. I don't see any way around it. Cooper Kupp's going to be popular, and it's hard to really find something that's minus 180. It's minus 165. I'm looking at a number of books here where you can get Cooper Kupp anytime score minus 180 here. That makes the most sense to me. That's a gigantic number to be getting on him. So take the over on 0.5 receiving touchdowns. I think that's a nice way. You can maybe fade him in DFS or something, or I don't really know. He's unfadeable in whatever capacity for me here today. And we'll talk about that here in a second as well. But play over at Prize Picks, put those 3 together, put them in a card, use promo code Awesemo, get that $100 free. Stop guessing, start winning. Join us at Awesemo Plus, but do it through this promotion at Prize Picks. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring the NFL Live Before Lock show today and throughout this entire season for Monday nights. I know that as well. So we really, really do appreciate them. All right, guys. I've been hyping it up, Arizona wide receivers. And this is where I'm just looking at the boom bust tool. And we were talking before the show about Jalen Ramsey. There aren't many cornerbacks that I really factor in the matchup, but you know, it's something that's just undeniable. He's a boundary corner, and trying to figure out who it is that's going to benefit the most and who's going to benefit the least from this scenario, because schematically, Antoine Wesley is going to set up on the left side of the field the absolute most, but he's not garnering a ton of attention here whatsoever. Christian Kirk has been the number one here from the Arizona side routinely, but Matt Savoca, who do you like the most from this Arizona passing attack?
Well, first of all, the number one in target market share since that week 15 line of demarcation, which I keep using because that is the point where they announced that DeAndre Hopkins was going to be gone for the remainder of the season. So that at that point, we knew that the offensive scheme had to change, had to shift dramatically, really. From that point, it's actually Zach Ertz who's had the highest target share on the team. Among all wide receivers, it's Christian Kirk. He's got a pretty solid lead on AJ Green. So I do think Christian Kirk is my favorite here. But then we got to look at the tools, right? Because AJ Green has such a high positive leverage score on FanDuel to the point where he's kind of undeniable. The captain spot for AJ Green has a leverage score of 3.8 on its own here. I guess Antoine Wesley has to come into consideration as well. Eric, you make a great point here about the possibility of him being blanketed, but I still think that they're going to be rational with Jalen Ramsey and get him to cover the more predictable wide receivers, AJ Green or Christian Kirk here. So if you're asking me which one I like more, it's Christian Kirk, but I'm definitely boosting AJ Green because of what our tools say.
All right, Matt Gajewski, talk to me about Christian Kirk. Over or under the field on him today?
I'll be over. So he's in that price range where you have most of the backs, and there's just concerns with all of them. Christian Kirk doesn't really have any. The volume should be there, just whether he converts it or not. So I think he's a fine play there. And to like all this talk about Jalen Ramsey, like typically we don't look at cornerback wide receiver matchups too much, but I think he needs to be factored in a little bit today because he's literally the only good player in that secondary right now. Like everybody else is hurt. So where he does play, Arizona might just decide to not target Jalen Ramsey once tonight because what's the point? You have like practice squad level guys, like 39-year-old former retired players out in the secondary. Why don't we just target those guys? Anyway, to Christian Kirk's point, or Savoca's point on Christian Kirk, I do think he is the safest receiver of this bunch. Antoine Wesley is a practice squad level player himself. So like if Jalen Ramsey's covering Christian Kirk, like why not just throw to AJ Green? Why are we going to make Antoine Wesley beat you? With that said, the target share between these receivers has been fairly flat. Christian Kirk is in the lead, but it's not by that much. It would be a surprise to nobody to see Antoine Wesley lead the team in targets, Ertz lead the team in targets, or even one of the other ancillary options. So I'm trying to spread myself between these guys. I am slightly overweight on Kirk.
So Antoine Wesley, AJ Green, 4.1% and 8.4% positive leverage to be had. Again, use that promotion that we have going super wild for $1. You can see exactly what I'm referring to in this tool, but it's definitely just looking like between Wesley, AJ Green, even we'll get to the kickers, of course, too. Positive leverage to be had on pretty much anybody from the Cardinals side. I think that speaks to the potency, I think, of a Cooper Kupp and obviously all the effects that it'll have on the other Los Angeles Rams pass catchers here, but those other receivers. So just rank the Arizona main three. Can you rank for me Kirk, Wesley, Green?
For me, it's Kirk, Green, Wesley.
Same thing, Gajewski.
Same order for me.
Okay. Love it. I think that that's appropriate. I think that that's kind of covering for me what I think is going to be a very make or break scenario here. I'm highest on Wesley in terms of leverage and just getting to a lot of him. 8.4% is just a ridiculous amount. I get very, very nervous about this entire situation with Ramsey, but whatever. Screw it. YOLO. I want to win $1 million and maybe
some of that is price though. Like
totally.
I think he's so positively leveraged, and it's not even because we think Antoine Wesley is a good player. He's certainly not. He's a big, skinny, slow receiver who's playing because he played with Kingsbury in college, but he's 1,800 and he opens up Cooper Kupp, Stafford, and all the other expensive lead options you want.
So let's kind of jump to Cooper Kupp here. Can you, Matt Gajewski, just really give me the summary of how you're handling Cooper Kupp, who is undeniably the best wide receiver in football this season?
He's not expensive enough. You can play him in the captain spot. You can play him in the utility, but one thing you shouldn't do is fade him.
I love that take. Clean, concise, effective. Matt Savoca, anything you want to add to that very, very long-winded take from Matt Gajewski?
He's been priced up enough, and going through, if you look at my contenders video on the Awesemo YouTube channel for FanDuel and DraftKings, he's still in the optimal lineup the number one amount of times of any player, including the quarterback. As Matt said, the price is up, but it's not up so much that we're changing our strategy here. I kind of said, a general strategy, and then I kind of took it back earlier where I said, you have to play a quarterback. And that's really the typical advice on a one-game slate. You got to get at least one of the quarterbacks in there, especially on FanDuel or Yahoo, where they don't price up the quarterback. However, Cooper Kupp's median projection and his ceiling projection and his chances of getting 25 or more fantasy points is essentially the same as a quarterback here. So this is one of those slates where if you want to get crazy, get Cooper Kupp in there and then don't play a quarterback. I'm not saying you have to here. This is large field tournament only, but that's how good of a play he is tonight.
All right. Well, other plays outside of Cooper Kupp, definitely have to be considering Odell Beckham Jr., the bane of my existence, until he joined the Rams. And I feel like I'm now the Odell Beckham whisperer, Matt Gajewski. Let me just. There we go.
That's 100%
we're not going to play
true.
Odell Beckham tonight. We're not going to do it.
That's 100% true. You've been a spot on Odell Beckham throughout his entire season. So maybe you should be giving the Odell Beckham takes.
Yeah, I'm not playing him tonight. It's Ben Skoranek season, baby. Let's go. Can I get you on any Ben Skoranek on this slate?
He did go to Notre Dame.
He did. That's all I know about him. And he
actually went to He went to Northwestern for 4 years and didn't produce, and then he transferred to Notre Dame and had a mediocre season.
You know that. I hate that you're not just bullshitting us right now and that you actually know that information.
It's unbelievable.
Matt Savoca, it's a joke. Matt Savoca, talk to me about Odell Beckham and Van Jefferson. Do you have a preference between the two? Because Van Jefferson for me.
Oh, really? So for me, I prefer Odell Beckham in a vacuum because Van Jefferson's coming in questionable. The reason Van Jefferson is valuable is because he hits for a few big plays here. Mm-hmm. I get it. The probability of him hitting for big plays, if he plays with a questionable tag, is not zero. It's just diminished. Odell Beckham clearly being utilized in and near the red zone to the point where, like, it's not a fluke that he's scoring so many touchdowns. They're designing plays so that he can score, boost his confidence, and they've done exactly that. So I like Odell Beckham as, if you're just comparing the two here, but Ben Skoranek is the only Rams wide receiver who has a value score over 3.0. It's him and Antoine Wesley as those value options. I don't feel great about either, but they are both sort of that fourth option of each team's core four. And on a one-game slate, we definitely need to consider those players when they're lower salary.
Not only that, but Cooper Kupp's my highest owned captain on DK. How do I get different? Well, I try to target one dude who has some ways of sneaking in optimally in a random fashion. Maybe he catches one or two, but really, he's cheap. He might be on the field. I don't even really know that much, but you got to find somebody down there. Matt Gajewski, is there any kind of a lean you have between those two wide receivers? And then any Ben Skoranek love for the Notre Dame you sicko?
It's really hard. He's not good, but I mean, he plays way more than he should. So we have to at least target him. I mean, he's like he's bigger and slower than Wesley, but I mean, I don't know. If he's on the field, we have to at least consider him because we don't have any value plays. He's going to be less owned than Wesley. So, I mean, because of that, perhaps you take a shot on him in large field tournaments. When we look at the context of this slate, we have all these studs at the top we want to jam. We don't have any value pieces, Wesley being the most consistent one. But if you don't want to just walk hand in hand with everyone in the field, maybe you get to Skoranek. It's hard for me to get over my priors with him, but I'm going to be
just like
playing.
It was your priors with Cooper Kupp, right?
Those are worse priors.
Those are worse priors.
Worst
priors. Wide receiver ever. Taser. Anyone?
Electric take. Yeah.
Freaking tasers attached to his side because he's going to get stabbed. Yeah. Yes, really? No.
I like playing Odell Beckham, though. I think Odell Beckham has the second most consistent role on the team. It's so much farther below Cooper Kupp that it's hard to target him. Like the scenario where you see him outscoring Cooper Kupp, how often does that actually occur? I don't think it occurs very often, but I think if you're just double stacking this Rams team, or if you want to be contrarian and fade Kupp, I think Odell Beckham's the guy you would play. I like Van Jefferson. When you look at the skill sets of these receivers, Van Jefferson's going to be more of your deep threat. Think of him in like this Deshaun Jackson, Brandon Cooks role. We've seen some of these former receivers play for the Rams. That leads to a lot of volatility. If he catches a big touchdown, it could get you there. If he doesn't, he might end up with like 2 points in your lineup. I think one of the more consistent pass catchers might actually be Higbee. He operates a lot around the line of scrimmage. And if the Rams are struggling with the pressure that Arizona could bring tonight, I think that does benefit the receivers that operate underneath. Kupp kind of operates everywhere, and I think he's going to get his either way. But Higbee's a guy who largely operates from the line of scrimmage to around the first down markers, and he could be somebody that just works as that safety valve.
What a great segue you just provided, because we are heading to the tight end position. And for me, there's really only two to talk about. Let's start with Zach Ertz, who we were talking before the show. Matt Savoca sharply put me on a little bit more of him here too, talking about some of the wide receivers from the Arizona side. We're looking for leverage, and really, he's the best pass catcher that there is positive leverage to go out and get, I would say, amongst all of the core. 0.8% doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot, but I mean, that's kind of equal to what we're looking at from Tyler Higbee. I think the tight ends might be a big stand for me tonight. Matt Savoca, talk to me about the case for Zach Ertz.
Me too. They're a big stand for me, as well as are the running backs, as we already mentioned here. With Zach Ertz, look, there are a couple ways that Zach Ertz really stands out to me. One, I already mentioned the fact that since that week 15 mark, Zach Ertz is the one that leads the team in target share. And it's not like all those wide receivers are getting all the air yards. He's second on the team in air yards share as well. Also, what we were talking about with Jalen Ramsey, if you want to optimize your Arizona receivers for who is covered by Jalen Ramsey the least, then Zach Ertz is probably your play, right? And on top of that, if you're looking to optimize for who is that off the street safety stuck guarding, I still think you're looking at the tight end, possibly a running back out of the backfield, and obviously the slot receivers who will rotate in and out. So Zach Ertz has a lot of outs here with the weaknesses of the Los Angeles Rams defense. The defense overall, obviously great playmakers like Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. They're ranked number 1 in PFF team defensive grades, but I am way over the field on Zach Ertz tonight.
Hello? Who is that? Hello.
I was at the door. Yeah, we'll find out.
Got to get the Kmart shopper in there. Smash the like button. Smash it. Yes, I need Kmart shopper later in the show. That's just becoming a recurring thing. It's what you got to do. That was the phone call. That was the call. We needed it. Matt Gajewski here. Talk to me a little bit about the tight end position here on the other side, Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, I really like Savoca's take about trying to avoid like Jalen Ramsey potentially. He's not going to cover Ertz. So I do think that makes a lot of sense. You combine that with the fact that Ertz has just seen pretty ridiculous volume. I did not think for a second the guy that was going to step up and take DeAndre Hopkins' volume was going to be Zach Ertz. And boy, has he been inefficient with it, but he continues to see it. So we need to consider him.
Yes, we do. Tyler Higbee, though, talk to me a little bit about him from this Ram side. And then I guess we didn't really talk about Rondale Moore, mainly because I'm not rostering him tonight.
Yeah, so Higbee, again, I think he could see some volume here if there's a lot of pressure that Stafford has to deal with just because of where he operates in the field. We also know he's a red zone threat because of his big body, and he's been pretty productive in recent weeks. So I think all of that's positive for Higbee. He's also at a price point which is not quite as expensive as Odell Beckham. And again, like if you're playing Odell Beckham, you're probably sacrificing at least one stud. So there's always these concessions you have to consider when you're rostering guys like Beckham and Higbee. But for that reason, I do think they're going to be a bit contrarian and maybe a little more contrarian than the Arizona pass catchers, who as a collective are a little bit cheaper.
500 likes. That's what it takes. Look at that. But Bracken Peterson brings up a great point. He's going to take back his like if we don't get one Kmart shopper bit at the end of this thing. So smash. We need over 500. This is the last Monday night show that we're going to have the entire season. So I just want to say for old time's sake, if you've enjoyed all of this content, the nearly 2,000 of you we have watching us live right now, please smash that like button. Plus, you get to hear the nice, beautiful, soothing voice of Jordan. What's your middle initial, Jordan? What's your middle initial? P. Jordan. P.
It's definitely P.
There we go. Let's ride, people. Oh, is that the bit? Is that what the P bit is? No. Why am I missing the P bit? I don't know what this is. God, why am I not cool anymore? Turned 34 and I don't know jack squat about what these young kids use for stuff. I mean, they say everything's lit and I'm like, it shouldn't be lit. That would mean bad. It's on fire. Oh, it's low key. Oh, so it's quiet. It's soft. No, it means cool still. I don't understand anything
Bro,
anymore.
I think things were lit like 6 years ago. I don't know, man.
Matt Savoca?
I don't know. I'm the hip and jive kid, right? So I would know.
You would. Matt Gajewski for sure. Actually, no, we're all going to revert back to Matt Gajewski's way of living. He's out in a log cabin drinking Four Locos, beef jerky, and a bunch of eggs. And I just imagine you living in the wilderness. By the way, you do need a haircut.
Oh, I have one scheduled for Friday.
Okay, good. Thank God. We're all relieved because if I see you Sunday without a fresh cut, I'd be offended. But let's ride out the rest of the tight end position. Kendall Blanton love. Daryl Daniels love. Are we getting to any? We're not going to play anybody on the other tight ends, right? Right?
No, they don't. They don't. Not really.
Gajewski, go ahead.
They just don't play enough. Like they don't use rotational tight ends either of these teams, which kind of helps us narrow down the target pecking order. But I mean, it doesn't help us with value.
Anything to add, Matt Savoca, other than I'm not P?
I mean, other than the fact that, like, do you want a tight end that had 0 targets the last 3 times they played and played under a 6% snap share? Then Kendall Blanton is the player for you. You know, it's the rules of physics here. Backup tight ends score on 1 game slate. So besides just very basic science, you should probably fade Kendall Blanton.
All right, y'all. Awesemo. Are we going to do a Hall of Fame or are we not going to do Hall of Fame? You let me know. Should we do some Hall of Fame? I'd love to do some Hall of Fame. Yes, really. No, mini-me? We haven't had any new ones. No. Okay. Well, I'll just put up the freaking board. Okay. That'd be great. Just do that for me. Yeah. Yeah. Daddy would like that. So this is the Awesemo Hall of Fame. Throw me a freaking bone here. Definitely check it out. It's not as good as my Smeagol, which apparently I found out before the show I can actually do. I'm only going to use one silly voice here today. I promise. Yeah. Awesemo Hall of Fame. Here you go. Download the Awesemo profile pick at awesemo.com/avatar. Check it out. Tweet your wins at Awesemo HOF and win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's all you got to do. You simply finish in the top 3 of any contest, 5,000 plus entries. You get that free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can only redeem it once a year. So just letting you know, if you bank in January, congratulations. Take advantage of this promotion. Won't start up again until next year. So thank you so much to everybody for tweeting out your wins. Love seeing them. You know, it's been nice to be a part of the Hall of Fame in the early goings of the 2022 season. I'm not going to say at good times. Ooh, yeah, Jordan Klein. I'm bragging about myself. It was not fun trying to update all this NBA crap too while on the show, but I digress. I love being here with you guys talking some NFL on Monday night. So excited for this game. We've got 14 minutes left. Make sure you get some shell lineups in, some dummies, if you will. All of my lineups are dummies. That's kind of the running joke around here at the moment. But kicker and defense time. I'm so excited. Kickers routinely coming in under-owned in our tools throughout this entire season. Today is no different. Matt Prater, Matt Gay. It feels like kickers have just been smashing on showdowns here of late. Feel like going overweight to both of them feels like a solid approach. Again, Matt Savoca, do you agree?
Absolutely. We have positive leverage scores for both Gay and Prater in both the flex spot and in the captain spot here on DraftKings. It's a game where we have a high total. Both teams get into the red zone more often than the average team. And so even if they don't end up scoring touchdowns, which absolutely is in the range of outcomes, obviously kickers are going to be highly utilized here. I think in situations where you're playing one kicker, you can boost up the running back on that same team in Fantasy Cruncher, but you don't really have to here. I'm over the field on both players.
You feeling the same thing that we are over here, Matt Gajewski?
Yeah, I do think kickers come in under-owned. I would not captain them under any circumstance, even in low-scoring game environments, just because of raw PPR volume on a place like DraftKings. Very, very low likelihood they ever end up as the optimal captain. But in the utility spot, they do come in wildly under-owned.
All right. And I'm going to go right back to you, Matt Gajewski. Defenses. Both have pretty solid defenses here. Obviously in PFF, number 1 graded defense, the Los Angeles Rams. I don't really know, though. I don't feel like this is a slate I want to be going over there. I think that for me, I'm shying away. 3,800, 3,600. I'd rather just play the kickers. How about you?
Same. I'm not very interested in the Rams. They lost 2 of their best players towards the end of the year, both their safeties. That's definitely not going to help. Like signing Eric Weddle out of retirement, I believe he's 37. That's definitely a risky move and one that could be taken advantage of. The positives with the Rams are they have a good pass rush. However, when we're looking at matchups and stylistics, Kyler being a dual threat quarterback can get away from a lot of that just naturally on his own. And if they have an elevated run rate with Kyler, it's just less attempts for sacks, less attempts for interceptions, any sort of turnovers. So I'll be siding with the Arizona Cardinals tentatively, even though they are the underdog. You have a non-mobile, turnover-prone Stafford, at least of late, with a very, very weak offensive line, plus the return of J.J. Watt, just bolstering that pass rush, which is already the strength of the defense.
What is a B? What is Jordan Klein? What is a B? Eric is B for sure? What is this?
You don't even know, man? Come on.
I'm pushing B now. What am I doing here? I can't even with you guys, but I think that was a pretty good overview here of this slate. We've got 11 minutes to lock. I wanted to be able to have you guys ask some questions. I've got 2 beautiful panelists over here who are happy to be chatting. Eric is a B. I'm so confused. I have no idea what in the freaking world we're even talking about here. B is bad. I'm bad. No, I'm not. I'm nice. I'm good. In your line, you're not pushing Pete off.
Not sure, buddy. I do want to add one thing about the Cardinals defense, though. You know,
Please.
Think back all the way back to week 1 in the NFL, where the Cardinals were playing the Tennessee Titans, and they absolutely shellacked that team because the Titans could not get a playoff all game long. That is the key to victory for the Arizona Cardinals, in my opinion, is they are just able to stop stop the Los Angeles Rams from getting into their play designs and going deep because they're just getting to the quarterback here. Not sure that's going to happen, but when I see the lower salary defense also going under owned, and I know that that's their key to success in contrarian tournament lineups, you can definitely play them.
Do you feel the same way, Matt Gajewski, here as I'm updating everything? I'm so frustrated.
Yeah, I like Arizona's defense a little bit more. And I do think there's risk with that defense for sure. Like the total in this game is pretty high. Usually I like defenses a little more, and the totals are around 40 points. So there's some risk here. But again, there's some huge tournaments tonight. If you want to be contrarian, I do think a team like Arizona and their defensive unit could be under-owned in a path to a contrarian build.
All right. How about this? Before we can take any questions here that you might have for the last 9 minutes here of the show, who is your favorite contrarian play on this slate, Matt Gajewski?
Chase Edmonds. Is he contrarian enough?
Yeah, he definitely counts. I think Chase Edmonds is going to be my guy as well for a lot of lineups. Matt Savoca, I don't even think we have to ask, but for anybody who might be having joined the show late, can you please give them your Cam Akers is going to win somebody $1 million speech?
Hey, that's the stand I'm taking tonight, is that Cam Akers is actually the healthiest and most explosive back in the Rams backfield, and that the 20% snap share that he got last week was just being conservative by the coaching staff, because they just want to make sure he is ready and healthy and full go in the playoffs. Last year in the playoffs, I get it, Jared Goff was under center here and they needed to rely on the backfield more. He was a absolute workhorse for this team. So it's definitely not outside of the range of outcomes. I think it's a low probability play, but it's my favorite low probability play today.
Oh my God. I just added a little bit more. This is just too much fun. 6,600.
It's gonna be fun.
It feels ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing ever. I love it so much. One-time dealer, one time. Let's go right back to you, Matt Savoca. Gay or Jefferson?
Oh, man. In my opinion, this is the cop-out answer. Gay has the higher floor and is a good cash play. Jefferson for sure in tournaments.
All right. Same question to you, Matt Gajewski.
It's going to be Jefferson for me.
Okay. I love it. God, you know what? This is really a fun one too. Arizona onslaught. How do you put that lineup together, Matt Gajewski?
Oh, you can do a bunch of things with Arizona, and it's because Kyler's mobile. You can captain Kyler and use multiple pass catchers. I think you can use some of the backs, because we've seen a guy like James Conner vulture a lot of touchdowns when the red zone. Really, the world is yours when you use Arizona onslaughts. But I think those are the kind of circumstances where maybe you get a little more of the defense, maybe you get a little more of the kicker.
All right. Another one we have here, Jefferson or Higbee, Mr. Draftaholic?
Higbee for me, that's an easy one.
Yeah, I think that we're both in line with that. Although I like Jefferson more than Odell. Matt Gajewski, anything to add to that one?
I'm in 100% agreement.
Stinky Lindquist. That's not very nice. Maybe. I don't know. I'll shower after this. Eric is playing Matt Gay. Yes, I am. He's good at kicking. Eric, bad means good. Bad means good. Good means bad. What? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Arizona
I love
onslaught.
chat so much tonight.
Yeah, this is really, I'm confused. Connor and Ertz, but no Murray, question mark. Very viable, I would say. Would you agree, Matt Gajewski?
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple studs. If you don't play Kyler, you could easily end up with a lineup that's just Stafford, Kupp, and then some of the other middling priced options. And then Kyler just doesn't make it because he's the last man in or something like that.
Oh, see, this is not okay. Everybody's now being mean to me again. It's fine. Defense onslaught on Yahoo, Matt Savoca. I don't know how viable I would want. Again, the price consideration, like you're looking at a $42 Cooper Kupp, a $37 Kyler Murray. It is very different puzzle to solve. Defense, a lot less intriguing for me over on Yahoo. How about for you?
Yeah, they just aren't plays that I really need to get to unless we think this is going to be a really ugly, low scoring slate where every single skill player underperforms. I guess it's possible. I just really don't see it happening here.
Yeah, that would be, I have no James Conner. I just realized legitimately none. Chalk him up for 25. No doubt about it here. Jefferson or Higbee? We already had that question, everybody. Lots and lots of that so far. This one is important. OBJ, Edmonds, or AJ Green? How about we just rank those? 1, 2, 3 over on DK. OBJ, Edmonds, AJ Green, Matt Savoca.
All right. Considering salary, I'm going to do AJ Green. Edmonds, OBJ. Oh, that's tough.
How about for you, Matt Gajewski?
Edmonds, OBJ, Green.
There you go. So hopefully that helped you as well, Bobby. You just asked OBJ or Edmonds. Thomas G, Edmonds and Connor in the same lineup? ? Matt Gajewski, how do you feel about that combination?
Better be large field, but if you're playing things like the Millie Maker, I think it's going to give you a lot of leverage.
Matt Savoca, would you agree with me? I feel like if I played those two together, I'm probably building towards a narrative where Arizona just dominates and we're playing the defense on the other side.
We probably are correlating with the defense. And you know what? You can double correlate it, add Zach Ertz as well to that, because those also often have strong positive correlations as well. The negative correlation that you chase, and Neil Orfield talks about this all the time on the Monday Night Football Live before lock. We can chase negative correlations here, at least one big negative correlation because of the variance that we see in a one-game slate. So that's how you do it with two running backs. That's typically negatively correlated, then use other positively correlated players for that group.
Yeah. So for me, something I'm doing quite a bit tonight is I'm playing a lot of Cooper Kupp and the captain without Matt Stafford. And so I think that that's kind of a fascinating deal. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, I need him to go nuts, but he's going to get targeted. He's going to have enough volume that I think that there's a path for him to go nuts, and Matt Stafford doesn't necessarily have to come along for the ride in some of those builds. Kyler Murray can get there on the ground. Lots of paths, I think, in this game to get very unique and throw some of that, throw caution to the wind in large field stuff. Obviously, your small field, Matt Gajewski, he frowns upon those things in cash games. Do not do such things, right, Matt Gajewski?
Yeah, don't do those in cash games.
Okay, yeah, don't be a dumb like me in tournaments doing my dumb stuff. Let's see, Ben Skoranek. Are we gonna get to some Ben Skoranek today, Matt Savoca?
Yeah, we are. As I mentioned, that he's got a value ranking that's sort of unignorably high here. He's got a median projection of 3.6 fantasy points. We're not expecting a world beater here, but we are at a point in salary, 1,200 on DraftKings, that if he gets into the end zone, he's probably sneaking into the optimal lineup. It's a player who's got a 6% target share and 8% air yard share. Super low probability.
All right, both Rams running backs in a lineup, Matt Gajewski.
Yeah, same thing as the Arizona backs, except we've seen the Rams team use their backs a lot recently. And I think part of that is the offensive line issues. We've seen a lot of targets go towards Sony Michel and even 3 targets to Cam Akers in his very limited role last week. That could be another way they use the backs again today, even in a negative game script.
Somebody just said Antoine Wesley injured, ? I did not see anything about that. I'm going to Twitter because you are getting timed out if that is not true. If that just
it's
came out
a
of
rumor.
nowhere.
It's a rumor.
It's a rumor? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just wanted to throw it out there. He was put on injured reserve from the Baltimore Ravens back on August 22nd of 2020. If that helps anybody, it doesn't help me. That's just what just takes you 2 seconds to go tweet something.
Hey guys, I have a question for you as we get in the final moments here. If Rondale Moore plays more than expected, we were kind of talking about, what's his snap share ceiling. We probably think it's around 35% here. If he plays that much, who does that take away from in terms of snaps? What do you think, Matt?
Probably some Ertz.
Probably a little bit of Ertz. But yeah, Rondale Moore, I just don't know. He's been playing very, very low snaps when healthy. So, I don't really know how to handle him. Coming out of Purdue, I think a lot of people in the fantasy community were pretty high on him coming into the season. But give me the Rondale Moore take for the road here, Matt Gajewski. That can be what gets us out of here before, I believe, if we can get over 400, I'm going to make him do Kmart Chopper. So hit that like button here for us.
Yeah, I love Rondale as a player. He's just not on the field enough to really warrant consideration. For him to, and he's not really that cheap either. And I think a lot of that is just the public sentiment. He's a guy like Mecole Hardman who draws ownership regardless of the role. We've seen him play this year. So he's not a guy I want to really roster. Even in large field tournaments, I think there's a chance he picks up a little bit more ownership than he should.
It's kind of what I always feel like. I feel like it's weird to say name recognition, but it's more of I think he just got so hyped up, so hyped up. So there's that. We are officially just about to lock here, but this is the end of our show. Jordan Klein, take it away. Yes. I can't hear you. We didn't get to 400. Get to 400 likes right now. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Now we're there. We're there.
We made it. Yes.
We made it.
Attention,
Thank you, everybody.
Attention, Kmart shoppers. Thank you for watching NFL Live Before Lock. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks for watching.
That is the voice of God. That is the Wizard of Klein himself. Jordan Klein, thank you so much for producing this lovely NFL show here. I got to hang out with Gajewski and Savoca once more, back-to-back nights. It doesn't get much better than that. I'll see you both again on Sunday. Looking forward to that one, per usual. But Monday nights have been great. Matt Gajewski, any final words for the people?
Thank you guys for being here all season long. It's been a pleasure doing these shows for you. Really makes my job, it's the best job I've ever had. So thank you guys a lot. I hope you win some money tonight. Back
that one up, Matt Savoca.
Thank you to you two and to producer Jordan Klein for making this a very, very easy and excellent job here. It's a lot of fun talking with chat as well. Let's win some money.
Yeah, for Jesus, a.k.a. Jordan Klein, for Matt Gajewski, for Matt Savoca, I'm Eric Lindquist. Thank you to PrizePicks. Best of luck tonight. Let's go watch some football.